Hello. I do not have a tripod, nor do I have my other setup currently functional. So I wanted to install this video card, but wanted to do a bit of a live stream for it, or at the very least a video record, because it's kind of cool. I have here a 6360 Macintosh, old school, PowerPC 603E, and a brand new, unopened, in-box PCI video card for the very first pizza box form factor Macintosh. So, without further ado, it was completely intact until I opened the larger shipping box and tore the plastic wrap. This card says it is only good for Mac OS X and above. However, through some research, it appears that 8.6 has limited functionality, and 9.0.4, 9.1 might have even greater functionality, and 9.2 should have full. But somewhat unclear, because there's not great documentation. Fighting with the box a bit here. More than a bit. There we go. We can see it shows Mac OS emblem, OS X with OpenGL. Back of the box. And supported resolutions. 200 hertz, 640 by 480. 128 megabyte video card. If you're unfamiliar, this computer comes with a 1 megabyte video card. So literally 128 times more memory. We have our return this product, not to where you bought it, but to ATI. We have an S-Video to composite adapter. Okay, unexpected. CD-ROM, some other documentation here. Customer care, registration, and something I haven't seen in anything in a very long time, a very thick manual. Nowadays you get a little QR code and good luck. DVI to VGA. I don't think I've owned one of these for a solid 15 years. And here we have it. Anti-static bag and all. Beautiful red card. Oh. Man, that looks beautiful. Made in China. No manufacture date on here, but somewhere circa 2000. Perhaps 1999. Cool. We're going to set this aside. And this is not the permanent location of the computer, but I just got it and was transferring parts from other machines, so temporarily set up down here in the living room. My understanding is, so long as I keep this DB15 adapter on here, I can still use the coaxial input for the TV tuner card. I have plans to try to get that working through something other than a digital converter box, but it might be cost prohibitive, so we will see. Everything on here got retro brighted the other day. I had to replace quite a few capacitors on the power supply to get her functional. Oh, I put a screw back in. Take that out. Thought I had left all the screws out. I also have a G3 upgrade card for the L2 cache coming. Now I need to be careful here because I had to modify the battery. It is no longer part of the board. It is a comically large 4.5 volt Energizer that, well, it's hard to tell sizing on Amazon sales pictures. So here's our board. The battery is seriously about that big, far larger than what it should have been there. But right here is our PCI slot. Little riser card. And in theory, this guy should plug in and work. I just burned some drivers off of the Macintosh Garden So with luck, one of them will function under macOS 9. Okay. Back panel off, and I can already see my first problem. Oh, we have a little tab here on the inside of that guy. That slot right there, that needs to come off. I know the original 603Es prior to this PCI update had 64-bit lanes on the processor, but they were divided into two 32-bit bus lanes, left lane and right lane. One of the lanes handled processor direct slots, video input, memory. Another one handled like SCSI and ADB, and it was a weird mishmash. And now that I'm looking at this, I don't have any cache in here. I didn't realize that. I might want to change that. So, this guy should slide right in here, but I think lifting this card out, putting it on, then sliding it down might be the best option here. So let's do that. And there we are. Just like a good old Nintendo, blow the guy out. Fully seated. And back into its home. There we are. And we're down. That was incredibly painless. Look at that. Not sure what this would have cost back in the day, but today it cost me $150, which is probably pretty close to what it cost back then. I am going to take this off. We're going to see the full system here. There's what it looks like inside. And I think I want to take the cache out of another machine. A 6300 that I purchased prior to realizing there was a 6360. And this guy lifts straight up, I think. Maybe. I'm going to set this guy down, stick it over here back into our holder. There we go. Now, I notice on this card, it went into the system that way. This is obviously memory. That's cache. Memory controller there. But I'm just realizing that ain't memory. Well, I mean, it is, but it's not RAM. So, is that a ROM? Yeah, that's the ROM for the computer. Okay, that's the ROM. I don't know if this cache card will work in here, but we're going to find out. Because why not? Let's give it a shot. Interesting. Well, the answer to that question is no. No, it will not work in here because it is keyed differently. These keys do not line up. Good to know. In case anyone wants to know, 6300 cache card does not work in a 6360. But that might also mean that it's not subjective to the same, or subjected to the same front side bus limitations as that one was. Maybe. So we're going to slide this guy back in. I do have a G3 upgrade card for that cache slot, I think coming in the mail, or being shipped out rather, tomorrow. So it is on the way. Well, I can't forget to plug the battery in, can I? That's my bad. At some point I will make a little bit better design here for this guy, but for now I just wanted to stop that message on startup about not having the system time set. That's not going in. There's something else in the way. No, we should be going in right now. There we go. Okay. I do not know what is needed to make this guy the default posting card. We're just going to plug it in and see what happens. So, I'm going to move the camera over here, get a better view. Come on, there we go. A tripod this is not. It's actually the mount for my microphone. But it works for now. Just ordered myself a new amplifier for the home theater subwoofer, and it came to me broken. Shipping damage. So I thought I would do this as kind of a pick-me-up while I leave that amplifier on the healing table over there, waiting for new MOSFETs to arrive. Okay. The shipping damage succeeded to break all the MOSFETs off the board. Go figure. Thank you, FedEx. Nice amp, though. 2500 watt crown. Mono block. Well, bridgeable stereo into a mono. Okay, power on. Happy Mac. It's a good sign. That's not a good sign. But we got a Happy Mac, so that's something. Oh! It works! Oh, I'm so excited. A 9200 Radeon in this. Now you'll notice this is not Mac OS 9. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I am excited that it works. And even without any driver support whatsoever, assuming it boots, it can't be worse than the factory card. I mean, come on. 1 megabyte? What were they thinking? Cheap is what they were thinking. I burned a CD with drivers of various types from various eras. I've got 98, 99, all the way up through 2005. But I don't expect the later ones to be of any use to me. Just figured, better to have them. The networking card for this I'm having a very hard time finding. It is a COM slot 2. I presume that it is hard to find because COM slot 2 came out around the same time PCI was becoming the default. So it had a limited support life. So I've got 2 partitions. It's a single hard drive. I'm going to open up the Mac OS 9 where I've got a CD rip folder already there. I'm collecting CDs. Just going to copy this guy over to it. You'll notice I've got 122 gigs free on there. This is running a 256 gigabyte SSD, crucial, with DRAM. So it has its own onboard cache, and it's going through a adapter card I got off Amazon for $10, and it worked right out of the gate. There was absolutely no problems installing macOS 8.1 and macOS 9.0.4 on it. I'm gonna make sure we got everything in focus here, which we do. What else? I did need to rebuild this computer's power supply when I got it. It did not power on, and this system was yellow. It was dark, dark, dark smoker's house yellow. So it took close to 30 hours and 3 different applications of RetroBrite, which I did underneath my pet's heat lamps and UVB lamps. I have a bearded dragon, hence the channel. And I jacked her heat lamps to RetroBrite the computer, but it worked. It just took quite a while. It does seem to me that the UV is somewhat important, but the heat is far more important. If you only use UVA and B but no heat, the RetroBrite does not work. So you need to have the heat along with the UV in order for it to function. But not too much heat, because I found in certain areas where the heat was concentrated, it turned into white splotches. Not super noticeable, but something to be aware of if you're going to use that stuff at home. Reason I couldn't do it in the sun is we're still getting snow here in April, and it's been like 15 degrees out. So, you know, I did try it outside, but it didn't work without the heat. Even though it sat in the sun, it did nothing. So, heat lamps for the win. And I upgraded this guy to 128 megs of RAM. Got that online. It seems to be readily available. A bit pricey. I think it was about $80 or so for 264 meg sticks. And then the L2 cache upgrade card was quite difficult to find. The upgrade card, I looked all over eBay. I looked on a lot of the pricing, previous history sites, and found that there are many cards available, G3, G4, for the newer computers. For either direct PCI, which I could use in this, I think, because I have a PCI slot, but it's being used for video. So that throws that out the window. Likewise, I can't add a faster IDE port or anything like that. I suppose I can repurpose one of the SCSIs for something, but I haven't gotten that deep yet. However, the L2 cache card I found was a 250 megahertz card, and it has a 1 meg cache, which in my research, the larger cache values seem to provide more performance than the actual clock speed of the processor. G3 over the 603E is a massive upgrade to begin with as far as architecture and the command sets that are in that processor. But moreover, the cache. Right now there is no cache in here, so it's, I presume, using RAM, which, you know, not all that great, especially, even though this is a DIMM memory instead of SIM, still ain't that great. And if you go from 512K cache to 1 meg and keep the processor clock speed the same, you will gain more performance than sticking with 512K of cache and doubling the clock speed on these systems in particular. And that's because the systems run on a 40 megahertz frontside bus. Well, their equivalency of a frontside bus. And that really limits what these can handle. 300 megahertz is honestly a little bit past their top theoretical speed. So having a 250 megahertz card is really going to work out to about 225, given the lower clock speed because of how the multipliers work. But that cache is really what's going to jump me up and bring me closer, much closer to, well, the next generation of processors. The towers, specifically the Candy towers, be it the greens or the blues, they had much more capability with this. Some of them you could even remove the processors and put separate processor cards directly in the slot. This one you can't. At least not without deballing and resoldering and a lot of that stuff. Which even then, the bus lanes are different between a 603 PPC and a G3, so some kind of adapter card would need to be in there no matter what. More circuitry design and topology reconfiguration than I'm willing to attempt. Copying Duke Nukem on be a good game to run. But I'm going to extract these files, reboot into macOS 9, and see what it looks like. At the very least, I suppose I could open System Profiler right here and see what it thinks we have. And I'm not even sure what the processor speed is. 160 megahertz. The reason I went with this machine is my very first computer was a Macintosh 630 CD. That was back when I was 6, I think. My mom bought it. And because it was my first computer, there's a bit of sentimentality there. So I wanted to keep this form factor. And not knowing that there was a PCI variant of this form factor, I bought the 6300 first. Arguably, I may have paid a little too much for it. But that led me to realizing that this existed. Then I bought this, and now I'm selling that one. So if anybody wants the 6300, it's going at a low price because it is widely regarded as the worst Macintosh ever. And the reason for that being the dual bus lanes. So the fact that half the components of the computer cannot directly talk to the other half. Everything must go through the CPU. So interrupt requests become a nightmare. And even though a operating system like 8.6 or 9, if you were to run it, has the ability to do multi-threading and background processing and task scheduling, the computer can't. Or at least can't in a large variety of potential usage cases. So it's just gimped is what it is. It's very, very gimped. Device information is what I want. There's no networking card in here yet, so that kind of sucks. And it's not actually giving me... It's not telling me anything about the video card. Absolutely nothing. Well, that's all right. We're nearly done copying here. And then we're going to reboot into 9. Let's go. Come back to me. I also bought one of the flight controllers, the joysticks. Those are expensive, let me tell you. Okay. Done and restart. It does take longer for the screen to come on now. Maybe the ROM is initializing the video card? I'm not sure. I got the video capture card, the TV tuner card. No processor direct slot in here, so I can't use like an LC2 networking card or anything. I'm kind of stuck with a COM slot 2. I did find one, but it is 6 times the price of a COM slot 1 card. So I think its rarity has to be due to the fact that it just wasn't used for very long, whereas the COM slot 1 and especially the PDS, those networking cards were used for God, the better part of a decade or more even, actually, considering the LC2. Let's see if we have an auto, there we go. Auto image adjust. I don't have a CRT screen because I'm not willing to pay shipping on such a heavy thing. Which, speaking of cost, the L2 cache card for 250 megahertz I got for $300. So I don't think that's too bad, but that does put, ooh, look at the resolution. That's cool. Did it already auto install drivers? If it did, how do I know? Since rebuilding this, I haven't booted into OS 9. I've been in 8.1. So what do we have? System profile, video memory 128 megabytes. System memory 136 megabytes. Oh, that is just wrong. I could put the original RAM to this back in, and I could have double the video memory as, no, 4 times. Because this came with 32. 4 times the amount of video memory as I do system. Oh, okay. So we are, I'm aware of that, thank you. We are going to open up these installer files. And we are going to see, what is that one? April 4th. Radeon 9000, which I think is for any 9000, but I'm going to try this first. It's a specific 9200 driver. I just don't know if it's for OS 9, but it looks like it is because it's literally called OS 9 after extracting. I also bought a new fan for this computer. It's got a little whine to it. It's kind of hard to hear probably over the microphone here, but it is annoying. So the replacement fan's direct, when I searched for model numbers, well over $100. And they're a discontinued product, so you can't get them anymore. But from DigiKey, I found a server power supply. The difficulty is this computer uses a 90 millimeter fan. Sorry, 92 millimeter fan. So that has the problem of being just an oddball size. In the consumer side, they use 92s in the older style blades. Well, no, 2U systems have 92s. 1U blade systems these days are the real tiny, much, much smaller. We're talking like 40 millimeter and below fans. But here she is. It's a 24 volt fan, but I tested it. At 12 volts, it draws about 0.6 of a watt, and the RPM sits right around 2200, which is perfectly more than enough for a system like this. Even with that upgrade card, I should have more than enough airflow, and more importantly, just static pressure to pull air through. So, no installer. No, I have all the individual system extensions. So I guess I'm going to open the README because I honestly can't tell you. Obviously, I don't need the 8500, which I didn't even know they made. Oh, come on. Let's do simple text. That works. January of 2005. Attempt to fit ATR interface with Betas G3. Huh. Okay, so in an attempt to fit the ATI Radeon 9200 PCI for Mac into a beige G3 mini tower running macOS 9.2.2, which this is not, this is 904, it was quickly discovered that the January 05 OS 9 update drivers are deficient, in spite of explicitly mentioning the card. That's not good. Clues on the almighty internet suggest that the DVI-I versions of the Radeon 9200 need a different set of drivers. Unfortunately, the archive link is broken. Awesome. Searching the file name turns an archive of the same name and apparently related contents. Manual installation of the files rendered a slow but workable boot with the 9200. My boot wasn't any slower. The boot was fine. A lot of additional digging failed to produce an ATI control panel that works properly with this card in this system. Okay, so the drivers I apparently downloaded are not functional for the operating system they are labeled as 9200 OS 9, and the README tells you, hey bro, this ain't gonna work. So, thanks. I'm going to extract the other one, and 9.22 will just be a update to 904. I don't think I need to do a clean install or anything, and I don't even think I need the full installation media, so that might be something I play around with here in a bit. But it boots, so I think that might be where I leave it for now, and I might play around a bit and see where I get with stuff. I'll make another video when I get the G3 card. That'll be a fun install. Maybe I'll do a little video of this guy going in. And that fancy amplifier I got, I might also make a small video on that. And here it is. During shipping, these guys got broken off. The comically large and heavy heatsink that is only fastened to the board by small solder connections broke off, and it rattled around here like a pinball, breaking off surface mount devices. There's capacitors, conductors, resistors, both on the front panel and on the board itself here that are damaged. So I'm working through all this. Ordinarily, it would be a Postal Service insurance claim, but the seller on eBay did not insure it, and these amps are back ordered by more than a year, and the manufacturer does not have parts for them. So I'm kind of stuck fixing it myself. Go fig. But, yeah. I will talk to y'all later. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the macOS and 9200.